this is Austin from Calling Our Shot. I'm back to recap the NBA games from tonight, but I need to do a quick promo. If you guys are like to sports bet, you guys got to check out our player props article at callingourshot.com. We're 3-0 tonight. We're on a high. We just swept the slate. If you want to, it's a good read even if you don't bet. We're just kind of picking players that we think will have good nights. But man, do we have a couple big storylines to break into? Not necessarily any big games on the horizon, but I mean, you see the title. It's about Kevin Durant, man. He was back tonight, and he's been back all year, but averaging over 30 points a game. Tonight he had 34, 13 assists, and 9 rebounds. I was hoping he would get that last rebound for the triple-double, but man, was he good. And that's what I'm thinking. Like, can he win MVP this year? And I say, why not? I mean, that's Russell Westbrook's slogan, but why can't he win, you know? Luka was the MVP favorite, still kind of is, but he hasn't impressed this year. And look at Kevin Durant. He almost just dropped a triple-double. He's averaging over 30 points a year, and man, it would be a great storyline to see him win the MVP this year. I don't know if he will be able to do it, because once Kyrie Irving comes back, which he's a whole nother conversation that maybe we can have on another video, but man, Kevin Durant looked good. He had a step back to close out the game. He had another floater in the lane. Man, he's overpowered. He's fun to watch. I missed him all last year. But man, he's back and he's looking as good as ever. Looks like he didn't miss any time. And boy, are the Nets going to be good. Little disappointed with the Nuggets showing tonight. They had a big 15-point lead at halftime. They blew that, but that's kind of, it's the Nets. You can't really stop Durant. He had 20 in the second half. He's going to get his. One of the other storylines that I want to talk about, and that's going to be the Los Angeles Lakers just absolutely destroying the Rockets. James Harden, I mean, there's a video circling on Twitter, and he looked overweight in the layup lines, and the announcers were joking that he made sure to get in a pregame meal. Like, that's dirty. That's wrong. But, hey, I can't blame the announcers, man. If you saw him, he was looking thick out there. And that's not normally something that you want in an NBA player. At the moment, Lakers are up 25. They'll win that game. Other games on the slate, you had Jazz versus the Cavaliers. And I want to shout out to the Jazz, and especially Donovan Mitchell. He was one of the player props that we bet on. We had his over of 23.5 points. And, man, that wasn't looking good. Nope, not at all. He had 8 points in the first half, but the man started cooking in the second half, reminding me of the Nuggets versus Jazz playoff series in the bubble earlier this year, where Donovan Mitchell just said, you know what, I'm done, I'm taking over. And he dropped 17 in the quarter and hit our player prop over. Easy money. But man, props to the Jazz, because this is a game they lose. I was talking to some of my buddies, and man, this is a game the Jazz lose. They never like being big favorites. And honestly, they probably would have lost it if the Cavaliers had any players on their roster. But, I mean, geez, the Cavaliers were without Sexton. They were out without Garland. They were without basically every single person that could actually score on offense, which, you don't love that. But, I mean, they could only muster up 87 points. They shot 39%. Like, yeah, you got to win those games, Jazz. And then one of the other games that we were talking about is the Heat versus the Sixers. I think there were a total of 15 players combined for both teams. The health and safety protocols have really jacked up this whole season so far. Several games have been postponed, which some will be postponed tomorrow for Wizards and Celtics and Mavericks games. But this game went to overtime, and another one of our player props, man. We had Tyler Hero over 35 points, rebounds, and assists all combined. The buddy had 34 points by himself. They weren't able to get the win, thanks to Joel Embiid putting up 43 and 16, or 45 and 16. My mistake, man. Yeah, you can't do much. They didn't have anyone to guard Embiid all night. He was constantly living at the free throw line, fadeaways, just in the paint, abusing. Precious Achua, Kelly Olynyk, Chris Silva fouled out. It was ugly. It was an ugly game for the Heat. Props to them. They were hustling. They're all tired out there, and they were still out hustling the Sixers, who had plenty of rest. So props to the Heat for getting out there. Hero did his thing. Duncan Robinson didn't see a shot he didn't like, but they were too little too late in overtime. And then the only other game we got going on, Spurs Thunder. I don't really care about that game. As I look at it, The Spurs are up 7 in the fourth. Who really cares? And then Lakers and Rockets, and the last game on the slate is Pacers versus the Warriors. I guess we'll see how that game goes. I expect, I'm gonna go with the Pacers are gonna win. That's gonna be a little bit of an upset, but a big Sabonis game. But like I said, man, if you aren't checking out our player props as well as any article that we write, we like to write daily articles about the NBA, NFL, sports, you name it. Check us out at callonourshot.com. Feel free to check us out also on all social media platforms, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, even TikTok. We'll be there at Call on Our Shot. That's our nightly recap. This has been Austin, and man, we'll see you tomorrow. Peace out.